So this is a directed net. Again, we use net control J, and even if you decide to listen, if you're not a Marco member, it's still.
A4FLW and EXA. You dropped out, Jay. Are you copying? Yeah, I don't hear anything. I didn't write down the other call, but go ahead. Just let us know, and maybe he'll pick it up.
All right, a little housekeeping. Try to keep everything under 2 minutes here. To also make sure don't tailgate. Pause before you transmit. We want to do everything we can to have this transcoding happen smoothly and the technology to be working in its optimal condition, and it helps for everything to synchronize. So please do so. Is there anyone now that has emergency priority traffic? If so, make your call to AA4. Okay, no priority traffic. I CPY2BBQ is now with us. I've got you checked in, Helton. Are there any stations that are mobile or a limited time availability today? Let us know now so we can get you to the head of the list for discussion. Go ahead and make your call. Okay, nothing heard on that front. Again, this is AA4FL Net Control for the Medical Amateur Radio Council DVNet, and we're about to have our regular check-in. So if there's anybody additional like to check in, please go ahead and do so.
This is N5 RTF. This is KA1BRF, Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Well, very good. QSL, we have N5RTF and KA1VRF. Thank you for checking in. Any further check-ins? Go ahead and make your call. Okay. AA4FL is a medical amateur radio council DVNet. We'll give a chance for others to check in later. Let me start by talking about a topic that came out of the listserv, which was a request from someone in Ukraine. I'm not sure I know how to pronounce Zaporizhia, that area above the nuclear power plant, for emergency supplies of radio communications equipment. So we need to find out a little bit more of details. There was a question on the listserv as to whether or not that would put one of our members in jeopardy who works for the American Space Program, and I'll certainly ask him. There are a couple of different levels on the request. One would be whether or not to do a Medishare program disbursement, but the other is just to collect donations from members and just forward them on behalf of Marco. So, just going through the archives here, we've got a whole box of things that need to be scanned. And interesting enough, October 1991, there was an article that appeared in QST. Well, there was something about QST that in 1998 that an individual in Ukraine saw about the Medical Image Radio Council and made a request at that time. Let me let it drop one. But at the time, in 1998, Robert Smithwick was the director of Medicare International, partnered with another NGO, and they had a request from a Marco member that was actually in Odessa. Well, it was in Ukraine. Let's see. It was actually, he was the medical director of a hospital in Kharkiv on the Russian-Ukrainian border. And there was a shipment from Medishare delivering urgent supplies at the time. There's a whole article. I scanned it, and I will distribute it on the listserv here. So it has something that's been done before. It has something that has been done before through Medishare to answer that question. Let me let it drop one. I'd imagine
WAEXA.
WA1EXA. Hopefully, I'm being copied. Um, are you still available, Mark? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here. You dropped out and I didn't hear anything, so that's why I called in. I was just wondering if it was me or you. But you were talking about supplying something to Ukraine that had been done before, and you're on. So I'll pass it back to you. You copying me?
QSL, I'm copying you fine now, Mark. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if you asked a question or not, but yeah, I think that we need to find out what exactly the request is and go from there. I think that I don't know if they're requesting money or just requesting some equipment or some supplies or what. I don't know. They have been distributing iodine um, in case that nuclear plant is affected. I haven't heard anything recently about it. So that's all the information I have about that. And as far as the COVID here, things are pretty much just going along. Everybody's handling it like any other illness now. Very few people wearing masks. I wasn't once who weren't willing to do it. I'm happy to do it, no problem. And as I said, they're starting to dwindle here. We'll be getting our second breast pretty soon with the buses that come in with the retired groups. Oh, that's what we're looking forward to on Cape Cod. Back to you, WA1EX.
Yeah, thank you for the report, Mark. WA1EXA AA4FL net control for the Medical Amateur Radio Council. So this article, Mark, from the Ukraine from the 1998 donation talks about the status of the profession in Ukraine at the time. So it's an interesting read regardless of the donation. So I'll make sure to get that out here today, as well as information about the Zoom meeting. It's a little out of order here because we have someone new to the net here, and I just want to give Wayne a chance, if you go by Wayne, to introduce yourself to the group. KA1VRF, AA4 from the Medical Amateur Radio Council, TVNet. Go ahead.
Yeah, AA4FL, KA1VRF. Good morning, and thank you for the little break here. I'm working out in front of the yard.
KA1VRF, if you're still copying, we got the transmission up to the point where you were working out in the yard. Are you still copying us? Go ahead.
Oh, yes, Jay, I'm still copying. Maybe it's me. I'm a little distance from my hotspot, but not that far, I don't think. But sorry about that. Yeah, I was in Vero for 30 years and then moved up to Smithfield at the request of family. So up here after my wife had passed. So they said, sell the house and move back up here to be with us. I said, oh, well, after hemming and hawing a lot. But also, first time check in. Looking forward to hear what goes on with this net. And it sounds interesting thus far. Thank you. Back to net control. Back to you, Jay. KA1VRF.
Solid copy, Wayne that time. KA1VRF, AA4FL, and the Marco Medical Amateur Radio Council, DVNet. We're sorry to hear about the loss of your wife, and I'm glad you're up near family now. It's important. I just moved my father-in-law up to Gainesville to be close to us, and it takes a little getting used to, I'm sure, but I know losing a spouse is very difficult and emotionally upsetting for everyone, including the entire family. My mother-in-law was it'll be 2 years in November, so father-in-law is doing exceptionally well. Were you in a medically related field? Not that it matters for the purpose of this net, just out of curiosity, Wayne. K1VRF, AA4FL.
It's A4FL, KA1VRF. Not directly, although I did serve with the Red Cross and also with Indian River Memorial, did the shelters there, and back in 2004, EOC back then with Francis and Jean came through. So, indirectly, yes, directly, not so much. Still have the T-shirt though. But Jay, I think you and I have talked down there. If I remember right, you're also a Red Sox fan, and I may be wrong at this, but I'm going to Fenway. Back to you, sir. K1VRF.
Okay, sorry about not recognizing the call. But again, we appreciate you having here. I'm actually today in Hawthorne, Florida, North Florida. I still have a place in South Florida, and I'm up and down the 75 and 95 corridors, often on the hotspot. I've got some friends along the way. Thank you for being here with us. Our philosophy of the Medical Amateur Radio Council is that anyone that has an interest in medical health or the medical fields is welcome to join us, and we're glad to have you here with us today. So I'm glad you found your way up there, and were you the person that had that was down that had the RV that you were moving up there over?
Yes, sir. And I kind of finished detailing it last week, just in case I decide to go south for the winter, which could be a possibility. But we'll have to see on that, anyways. But very good, Jay. Good talking, and we'll let you get back to the rest of the net there. And I'll be here moving some dirt. KA1VRF. And yeah, I'll check out the net and I'll go try to get to the website and check things out. Thank you. KA1VRF.
Well, thank you, Wayne. Glad to have you aboard, and thank you to everybody else on the net for allowing us to have a proper introduction. When Wayne was in South Florida, we spoke many times as I was passing through his area, which was about 50 to 75 miles north of my Delray Beach place. And we even talked about trying to go to a Red Sox series in St. Pete sometimes. It's actually interesting because if you're a Red Sox fan, a lot of times it's hard to get into Fenway, and there's more Bostonians than there are Rays fans when you go down to St. Pete to a Tampa Bay Rays game. And, I would take my father frequently to weekend series. Of course, my father's not here anymore, but we always had a good time. And I have family coming from Boston to Tampa and stay and drive over to St. Pete. Okay, back to the actual business of the net. Andy, WJ8B, how are you doing today? You ready for Ohio State football? Over.
Well, good morning, everyone. Oh, yeah, it's the 100th anniversary of the Ohio Stadium. So, today, and it's been there 100 years. So, it's, of course, had lots of additions and changes over the years, lots of additions just to my lifespan. So, they're playing Notre Dame, as probably most of you know. They're ranked in the top five, apparently. So, it should be an interesting game. Like drizzle here presently. It may still be raining some, then we may have some thunderstorms, but it is supposed to clear up before the game starts. And the temperature isn't really high, so that's a good thing. Haven't been doing too much this week. We had a visitor from out of town. My wife has 8 brothers, and one of them that doesn't get here very often was in the Portland, Oregon area. Was been here for the last 6 days, so he spent almost 2 days with us, and of course with the six of us his 8 brothers, and one of his other sisters, besides my wife, that live in the area as well. So that's been interesting. He's not medically connected. He's an electrical engineer. So in terms of COVID here locally in the Columbus area, we are still seeing on. They're still putting a fair number of people in the hospital, and there have been nothing near what Alpha or Delta strains did. But still keeping my nurse daughter, who's an RN in the ICU down in Athens, Ohio, still keeping her busy. So that's the way that's been working. So everybody in the family's staying healthy now. Most everybody's had COVID except my wife and I. All the other younger ones, both my sons and their children have had it, but they all did relatively well. It was the Omicron variant, and they were fully vaccinated when they got it. So back to you, Jay, from WJP.
Well, Andy, again, thank you to your family, and I know you have many family members that are in the medical field, and thank you for their service. And I'm glad their health and welfare is in good hands right now, that everything's well. So once again, I know we've spoken about this many times, and you're very often a great resource because we have those reports from family and friends, and we certainly have talked about these things in a more academic and clinical way in the past. It's nice to at least feel that the pressure is off. When I was at my father-in-law's independent living facility yesterday, they were doing a sign up for boosters and flu vaccines, and they had it set up for September, about 2 weeks away. So I did not get the impression that they were aware or counting on the fact that it was going to be a new booster. And I felt that that particular one may have been more driven by the pharmacy and convenience as well as profitability. So hopefully they'll have everything in order to get and prioritize for the seniors to get those vaccines first, and we'll hear a little bit more about the implementation and the prioritization in terms of those who can go ahead and whether or not it significantly reduces the quantity and the extent of the disease for those that do get infected. So all remains to be seen, but it's certainly very good news, or it's potentially very good news. Hilton stepped away for a minute. I'm not sure if Wilson's back, but let's give him a chance. PY2 BBQ AA4FL, the Medical Image Radio Council, TV Net. Okay, I see you got a message. I am back. I know.
Okay, A4FL and the group. This is PY2 BBQ Hilton from São Paulo. Sorry, I needed to leave for a while, but I'm back. I could not listen to the beginning, especially what Mark had said, but then I returned it, and I would like to welcome our friend Wayne K1 Victor Romeo Fox. And welcome to Marco DVNet, and I hope this is the first of many rounds that you participate with us, okay? And, hearing in Sao Paulo, things are really calm regarding COVID-19 and even the monkeypox. We don't hear much about it, especially because, we will have elections for president, governors, and greatest part of the Congress in 1 month from now. So things are everybody very excited with the politics and it seems that we don't we don't have much time to think of health issues. So that's the story here. I've been participating of the CW Ops Open contest last night, but unfortunately today the propagation in the higher bands are really bad, and I couldn't get on the air for the second round. It works in 3 rounds. Okay, so back to you, Jay. A4FL PY2 BBQ.
VY2 BBQ. Well, Fulton, thank you for participating today and making the time to participate and for posting the live stream link here to our NetLogger IM instant message. For those of you listening, and I mean, if you're still monitoring, we do our logins, or at least they're listed. You can see who's logged in on NetLogger if you're familiar with NetLogger. And there's an instant message window there on that program, which is available on the website. If you search by NetLogger, you'll find that. Before we continue with discussion, are there any other stations that would like to check in? This is AA4FL net control for the Medical Image Radio Council, DVNet. Make your calls this time.
This is Alpha Charlie 6, Zulu Zulu. I have nothing to add. I'm just sitting here listening.
Well, thank you for being here with us and for letting us know that you're monitoring AC6, ZZ, AA4FL, and the Medical Image Radio Council, DVNet. For those of you that are listening, we do have a website, marco-ltd.org. That's the Medical Image Radio Council. And of course, you can always do a search in a search engine for us by name. We do live stream these, as well as our Sunday morning HFNet on 20 meters, and we'll have Chip speak next, N5RTF, Chip and records that every Sunday morning. Net medical topics, and they're available archived. I'll let him describe that for all of you that are listening. It's a group effort here at the Medical Image Radio Council. We have about 240 members. Most are in the medical fields, not everyone. And the two nets, particularly the Sunday morning net and our Ether newsletter, which the next edition is October 1st, are the main features. And on the website, you can see the newsletter. So thank you for along and make new friends along the way. N5RTF, Chip, I'll turn the mic over to you.
Hey, 4FL and the group N5RTF. Yeah, I'm not recording this morning or streaming. I was not able to get my computer to recognize the Ambi dongle for the first time in about 2 years. I don't know what the cause is. I'm fiddling around with the device manager while I'm listening to the net. If anybody has any advice or has been through this before, I'd appreciate it. N5RTF.
I've had the problem once before, and it was the USB driver. I'm trying to remember the exact nature where I had to get the one that was non-Windows supplied that made up the difference. But it wasn't on the computer that already had recognized it. Over.
Yeah, I've been doing some Arduino programming using the same COM port. So that may have messed something up. I'm not sure. The computer says everything's connected and it's working, but I can't get BlueDV to recognize the dongle. Is there any other software that uses the Andy dongle?
Doesn't say anything.
Go ahead, Andy, and respond. AA4FL.
Well, two items. I've had that happen to me a couple times, and I was never exactly able to figure out what caused it. One time I actually went ahead and lost the second one. And the second one plugged in at work, and I took it downstairs to plug into my main computer. And then when I used the one on the laptop that wasn't working, next time I turned the computer on, it did work. And I'd already unplugged it and everything. So, yeah, totally restarting, redoing everything, or reinstalling your BlueDV may help. Many people can't get Windows 11 to work on it, so you may not have that yet. So those are things that come to mind for that. The program that you can use that uses the Anti-Stick is the DroidStar program designed for Windows, and it will use the ComDV in place of the software that you plug it in when using that program, and it will work. It's not quite as nice as BlueDV. So, back to you, Chip, in 5RTF from WJP.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, I may go ahead and download DroidStar just to test it with another program. I'm also probably going to just disable or unload the drivers and reload them just to see if I can get any luck that way. Uh, as these things get more and more complex, uh, we're getting into Harry Potter land. You know, it's sort of like how you hold your wand in your mouth while you're casting the spell. N5RTF.
AA4FL net control for the Medical Image Radio Council, DVNet. Well, I'm glad that you had the technical discussion here about the AmbiStick, and it's much to the benefit of all of us that are involved. So we may not have the issue today, but it doesn't mean we won't have the issue tomorrow. And I've noticed lately with Windows 11, some of my programs and software or hardware are no longer compatible, don't have compatible drivers. So things that are a little bit older, things like scanners and such that work under Windows 10, they're not necessarily going to work under 11. So, and I know, Chip, you're not in the Windows environment, so life is even more interesting for you. But you're up to the challenge, and I know you're going to figure this one out. Me, I don't know. The learning curve might kill me, but it's always good to have friends to assist along the way. Well, thank you for having that. Any other reports here, Chip? And 5RTF, go ahead.
Nothing else. We're out in the swamp this weekend. I'm looking at a thunderstorm rolling in. My HF stuff is all disconnected, so I'm sitting here comfortably talking on the radio, but without any risk. So that's, as I said before, that's one of the really nice things about digital mode. But yeah, I just disconnected COM3 and uh, disable the driver. I'm gonna reload everything and see if I can bring it back again. I am using Windows for BlueDV, but I've got a Linux machine sitting right next to the Windows machine. And truthfully, I love Linux a lot more. And if you look at the cost of Raspberry Pi 4, maybe about a quarter the speed of the Windows machine, but it only costs $100. N5 RTF clear.
AA4FL with N5 RTF and the Medical Image Radio Council DVNet group. Well, enjoy your day, and hopefully the thunderstorms won't roll in and drop a lot of rain over you. I mean, we're at the same latitude, and we certainly had a lot of the same type of weather here in North Florida. Andy was talking about Ohio State playing today. It sounded like the rain was getting over early. I think we might have to flip on that. Florida's playing Utah tonight. It's at Florida Field, which of course is called Swamp. So if it rains, it'll probably be at that time of the day today here. We'll probably enjoy the cooler weather. Hopefully, it won't be a terrible thunderstorm. But we've had some bad ones. Let me let it drop one. AA4FL. The Tampa Bay area is sort of got the nickname as the thunderstorm capital, lightning capital of the state. So everybody always brags about their locale. When you talk on the radio, mention that to somebody in Australia, you need to get off the radio, and you say something like that. That's a brick wall for communication. But I was there a few weeks ago, and the storms are bad. I had a friend, a couple, two married couple, both hams. They were on the T-33AD expedition with me, and they moved about 45 miles northeast of Tampa. They experienced it firsthand last week, so they took a direct strike, knocked out all their radios. They sent a picture of the wiring and where it got hit. So, yeah, Jeff, there are advantages to DV radios, that's true, but kind of hard to give up these towers when it comes to DX and HF and RagJoy. It just is so much fun. Are there any other stations that would like to check in here today? I'm running a little late. There's no maker calls with net control AA4FL. No other stations today. Are there any other discussion threads that you would like to bring up? This is AA4FL.
I'd like to make a comment about the problem Chip had with the Ambi stick. Over.
Well, please do, Hilton, and as well the message you placed on the NetLogger about the link, because I don't think he has NetLogger. You might explain to him about that audio source. If you went to BBQ, go ahead.
Okay, for I found the group, this is PY2BBQ returning. And yes, I've been using the Ambi stick for about 2 years, and I've had every kind of issues with it. And one of them is that for many reasons, it may not be recognized by Windows. It happens after some kind of update of the Windows, and most frequently when we install another device that will use the same COM port. So what I started to do is to keep the Ambi stick always connected to one of the USB ports of my computer. So I'll be sure that that COM port will always be um, connected to the Ambi stick. But anyway, another solution is to get the DMR branch directly from the Brandmeister. They have this site that is hose.brandmeister.network, where you can get the sound of every single talk group in a Brandmeister network. So if you go to the right side, top right, and click in the player, and then you put the talk group 31012, you get the sound of whatnot right in your computer. So it's the easier way, and that's what I do to capture the sound for the broadcaster in the YouTube. Actually, I don't get it from the Blue DV, but from Brandmeister directly. So back to you, Jay. A4FL PY2BBQ.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. PY2BBQ AA4FL. I will make a personal note of that. And if you might want to send a note to explaining that to our members on the listserv in case they want to use it as a source. Of course, I guess that's redundant. If you're supplying the source that listens to the YouTube links, that's not necessary. But I'm glad you have an accurate source that you can choose that seems to capture what you need to. Because I know sometimes transmitting interfered with your ability to record in the past through Blue DV. Sounds like you found a wise solution to that issue, Hilton, where you can participate and not have that conflict there. Any other discussion threads that one would like to start? If so, make your call to AA4F. Well, thank you for participating. It's wonderful to get together with friends every Saturday morning and make new friends and have these discussions. I will be operating from South Florida, from Delray Beach, Florida, the next two Saturdays, and look forward to talking to everyone. And in the meantime, be working on scanning the archives. We just received a box from Bruce Small of all the ethers from 1985 to 2000, and that was the year Warren took over. And when I visited Warren a few weeks ago, he gave me all the ones from 2000 to date. So it was probably about 300 ethers I need to scan, and I'll be working on that while I'm down there, as well as working on the next edition of Ether. Let me let it drop one. Thank you to everyone here on the net who has supplied information for the Ether. You have submitted links and articles about monkeypox and the current state of polio. I plan on using them in the Ether and including that information, making sure that it becomes part of the net discussion and in introducing that in an upcoming Zoom board meeting. So you look for that Monday night the 12th. We'll have a Zoom meeting for membership as well as the board. Hilton, sorry, it's at 9 o'clock on the East Coast, so it's going to be a little later for you. So we need to start that time to catch the West Coast. Unfortunately for Europe, that's not a good time at all. Middle of the night there. 7-3 to everyone. Have a very enjoyable weekend, and thank you for the administrators of of the, oh my gosh, I'm getting so tired here. Are the administrators of the net here that allow us to transcode back and forth. It's always a pleasure to have the QuadNet array for use. And I don't know how we would communicate with each other on the digital modes without it, since we all operate on area modes. So thank you for the administrators of the QuadNet array. Now, 7-3, and we'll talk to you next week. AA4FL, bringing the net to a close. We'll be hanging out for a few minutes for conversation amongst friends. AA4FL 7-3.